Okay guys, welcome back. Right, the next thing we're on to is something that is one of the things that do not affect depth, but they're very useful. It's tone ID. So we'll go back to basics in the tone ID and how it was kind of brought about and the uses of it. It's a form of discrimination when you think about it, because you can select certain targets, which is discrimination. So you're selecting the target on the tone, which I've used over the years in many occasions, especially looking for hoards or hammered coins. We'd allocate it a certain tone so that we knew when we got that tone that there was a really good chance that could be a hammered coin. Or if we were looking for a big silver coin really high up in the scale, the discrimination scale that I showed you, we could actually give everything else a different tone so that we're only listening for one tone. So it's a really useful tool that I use quite a lot. So when you think about it, you've got a field. This is a field, right, a farmer's field. I'll zoom in a wee touch so you can see. There you go. So this is your farmer's field. So imagine there's 10 coins on it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, there's 10 coins in it, but in amongst that there's hundreds of bits of iron. This, the red stuff's the iron, right? So that's a lovely grass field. And in among that as well is coke, which is all showed you coke, it's just like burnt coal. So there's hundreds of that in it as well. So all in you've got 100 targets, right? So you've got 100 targets. So you imagine back in the old days when they just invented metal detectors where it had one tone, right? So there's a big buckle. There's a coin. Iron. The hammered coin. You notice everything sounds the same. There was no meters in those days, so it was just sound. That's what you're going with, sound. So if you were going out for a day's detecting and you were out for 5 or 6 hours and you dug average of 20 targets an hour, that's 120 targets you've dug. So you've dug 120 holes that you didn't need to dig. So you've made a mess really when you don't need to, because when you dig a hole you're making a mess because you're disturbing the soil or the lovely grass, and you're disturbing it, and then when it regrows in the summer it usually goes yellow at the top because you've maybe killed it a wee bit, so you've stopped it growing. So that was a lot of hard work. What they would have done in those days was maybe went for quieter, weaker signals so that they knew it was a small item, but it's still, I use a pulse induction, and that some of them have no discrimination, and it's, believe you me, there's a lot of small iron out there and it's hard work. So that would have been really hard work in those days. So some wee bright spark might have been Fisher or Garrett, whoever it was in the days, but it's probably one of these two guys that invented discrimination. So with discrimination, so we're going to do this just now, and then, so what I've done is I've cut out the iron, right? So you imagine you went out that day metal detecting and you dug those 120 targets and you get 5 coins, right? So that's 115 holes you did not need to dig because it was iron or coke, right? So that, having a discriminator to stop you digging iron was phenomenal, right? So if we take all that out, so now you get metal detecting, your buckle, penny, silver coin, iron, nothing, wee spit, tell that's iron. So there's nothing. So as you can see, the discriminator worked wonders for people. The tone ID with the added discrimination worked wonders. So we're not really dealing with tone ID at the moment, right? But the discrimination, as I told you at the start, is part of discrimination. So the discrimination allowed you to cut out the iron. But some guy says, well, hold on a minute, I'm walking about here and it's silent, and I know there's 120 bits of iron in there, but it's silent. So if I'm on a new site and I've got my discriminator on, how do I know if I've hit an area of activity, maybe a camp, or somewhere an old homestead or house? And so some guys missed the feature of having iron, but they didn't really want to dig it. So some wee bright spark, probably Fisher or Garrett in those days, come up with a thing called tone ID. So they gave it 2 tones. So what they done was, I'll go through all these features in the machine in a wee separate video. So what they done was, they gave iron a tone. So now that's tone ID. It's 2 tones. Low tone for iron, high tone for everything else. So we'll show you iron first. Hear that sound? Mind, there's no meters in those days. And that's just like the XP Gold Max. That's the same, that still gives a buzz and a beep. Brilliant machine. No meters to put you off, you're going with your ear, which is the best discriminator. So we go over a silver coin, buckle, penny, hammered coin, cut half. So there you go. That's the start of tone ID. So now you've got a low tone for iron and a high tone for everything else. It also affects recovery speed as well, because when you use discrimination, it can slow your recovery speed down. And if it slows the recovery speed down, it can limit depth a wee bit. And it also means you could, if you went over iron with discriminator on, there's a good chance you could pass over the coin, which I showed you in the discrimination video and the recovery speed video. Alright, so that's why people opt to work with no discrimination, just tone ID on, because tone ID is open, it's accepting every target, but it's just allocating the iron segment a tone, which is brilliant. I basically work in that mode all the time. I basically work, I'll show you later on what I work in, is what's known as a grunt and a beep, and that's grunt, sooty and sweep they call it, right, and that's what I use. So we've got 2 tones. A lot of machines went from 2 tones to 3 tones to 5 tones. Now 5 tones is for American market, for their coins, so they can pick out certain coins. A lot of guys who use Equinoxes use 5 tones because they just like the setup of the tones. But machines like the Equinox and the Deus and things like that, you can, in the Legend, you can alter the tones in these segments and you can extend them or contract them. So that's more in an advanced metal detecting video that we'll do. But that's a feature where you can actually get in and expand these sections so you can allocate certain numbers, certain tones to suit you, to suit what you're needing. Alright, but that'll be a separate video because I don't want to overcomplicate it, alright? Because it's a beginner's guide. So the next one up is we'll move it up to 3 tones. Now this jumps to 5 tones, see it? So we'll have a go with 5 tones, right? So there's your iron, still buzzing, buckle, cut half, notice it's lower, but it's still above the iron, listen. So it's still above the iron, which you want sound wise. Penny, silver. So you notice there's quite a variance, and so now we've got the low tone, we've got the tone for the hammered, and we've got the tone for the penny and the silver coin. There probably will be a wee separate tone in there for nickels and dimes, whatever they use. I personally never used 5 tones. I like a thing called all tones, which is the next one. So if you listen to this, so you still get your buzz, hear it? then you cut half. All tones gives you a tone for every number in the scale. With this has got 99 numbers, so it'll give you 99 tone. That's a penny, love token, buckle, higher again. So there's the penny. They're the same. So two of them, same number, same tone. So there you go. So that's all tones. I do use that. Depends what mood I'm in. If I'm not really wanting to listen to the next tone that I'm going to show you. But the next tone is what I use my Manticore. I used it in the XP Days 2. I used it in the MXT, basically White's MXT. I've used it in loads of machines. And I got used to it while I was using the White's MXT. I wanted just a grunt and a beep. And I'm very successful using that. You'll find it in the prospecting mode in the Equinox 800. So if we go here, let me see these features. So the next one up is on here. It's called Delta Pitch. It's got different sounds, pitch and prospecting mode. It's got different sounds. So here's where I am. Here I am. Buckle. The nearer the coil it gets, the louder it is, and that's what I like. The further away it gets, the quieter it gets. I know there's when it's a deep target. That's me far away with a penny. That's me near the coil. So there's a cut half. Listen how loud that sounds. So that's how I like it, because it makes cut halves and hammered coins sound really big, which I told you about in the recovery speed video. So that's another addition. Low recovery speed. That delta pitch sound makes wee coins sound really big. So when you're searching for wee hammered coins, which are mostly small, or tiny gold posy rings or gold stuff, wee stuff, that's what you want to make it sound big. Do you know what I mean? So that you can really find it. If you make the sounds like a kind of normal audio, which you get in some of the machines, it's called normal, and your fast recovery speed, you're making the target sound really small, and there's a good chance you can miss it. So that's tone ID. I will go through and show you the machine, just going up 1 tone, 2 tone, 3 tone, 4 tone, and I'll show you. I'll just use the Equinox 900, this is a good example, but all the machines have got that feature, and it's an excellent feature. I wouldn't go, when you're just starting out, I wouldn't go crazy in the tones. Set it in 2 tones, what I showed you, set it in the pitch, and so that you're getting a grunt for iron, and a whoop whoop high pitch for anything else. Or if you don't like that pitch, you can change it to 2 tones, so that if we go back down, so I can just change that to 2 tones. So there's my 2 tones, listen. Bump. So you don't need the delta pitch type or the pitch type tone. So I would advise anybody starting out, don't get carried away with the tones, because you'll start getting totally confused. Start with 2 tones, grunt for iron and a beep for everything else until you get used to it. That's how you get used to it, okay? And when we're looking at this, you'll see the discrimination scale for the targets I'm going to use as well, where they start coming in. Okay, so I'll give you iron, low conductor, mid conductor and a high conductor. Alright, so that's tone ID. It is very useful. It's a form of discrimination, because if I was looking for a certain target, so somebody, just for say well, I'm here, somebody, imagine that's somebody's wedding ring and they've lost it. So if you had a similar ring and you knew where it was coming in, you could actually block everything else out on the discrimination scale. It's called notch, and just look for that. But you can do it with sound. So if I was using that, I could change the tones. So let me see. So if we used 5 tones, So there you go. So the 2 coins coming in for that. So that's roughly the same conductivity as that, roughly the same number. So you're going to dig stuff that's in that range. So just for saying sake, that comes up at number 80 plus. So from 75 to 85, you'll dig everything in that range, and then that's you cutting out everything below that. It's just an example. So if that was a ring and you would dig, and it was coming in at 80, roughly 80, 75 to 85, and listen for that tone, and you'll be able to find it. Okay, without digging everything else. Tone ID, very useful. Okay guys, we've got the Minelab Equinox 900 here. I'm going to show you, there's the iron spoon, so listen. Right, hold on, we'll come out of this. You notice this bit's took away. This is discrimination scale, goes up to 99. So this is all your iron range, and this top bit here is for coke, so that you don't dig coke. Alright, so I'll just make this a kind of dual video with the discrimination and the tone ID, because they kind of tie in. So we're on one tone just now, so if I press this button here, this horseshoe, that means that everything is open. When all that's black, this horseshoe, everything's open. So there's a bit of coke. Notice it's number 1. Okay, so that sounds like a target, but you imagine you didn't have a meter, but when you've got a meter, you know when it comes up 1, it's usually coke. Okay, but if you didn't want to hear that, you could press that. Now you don't need to listen to it. So remember I told you about the previous video that you had 120 targets in the field, so if you didn't want to listen to all that rubbish, iron and coke, then you could cut that out and you don't need to listen to it. Okay, but that's there's another way of doing it as well, so you can still work with this wide open in tone ID, but because we're in one tone, right, look, everything sounds the same. So the way we could change that is we could go to the tones and we could put it to 2 tones and then come back out. So now everything in this range, see it, is going to give me a low tone. Right, but that's no, because that's up there. Right, let me see. Hear it? So what we can actually do is we can go in and we can allocate that a tone as well, so that that's given as a low tone. But again, as I told you, that's going to be in another video, but I can go in and edit that so that that low tone extends up to +1. Okay, that's just in the features. All machines are different, but that's in the features. So that's tuned in to give iron a low buzz. There's your wee cut half. See the numbers, it's well away from the iron, it's well away from the coke, look. So you know right away that that is coke. But what I can do here is if I still wanted to hear the iron buzz, there's another way we could do it, is we can call, it's called not discrimination, right? So if I come along here, there's discrimination, so I move, see the wee black cursor here, I can move it up to +1, watch this. Right, and I can actually press the tick button, right? So move it up, let me see, right, move it up, right, I'll show you in a minute. See, that's me editing it in, see it? So that's me, when I press that, I've accepted it, right? So what I can do is, I can actually edit that out, so watch this. Right, so if I go into here, I can take it out, to 3, take it out, take it out, detect, right, there you go, I can move it up, see it, so you can move that up whatever you want. So that's just a wee way of discriminating stuff out. So, but what I can also do is, if I wanted, right, I can go back down to here, with the minus button, and I can start accepting all the iron, see it? into the iron, so I can accept into the iron range and leave the coke cut out. See it? You can just accept all the way down. You can use your two finger. You can accept right down. Right, so then we press detect. So now, you still hear the buzz for the iron coke. Gone. I don't even hear it. See it? So I've took out the coke, even if I only take out up to +1. So go back in here. As I say, I don't want to be overcomplicated. This is notch stuff. Right, so press. So I can accept 2, accept 3. So there you go. So that's just 1 knocked out. See that's trying to get into 2, because that's what it does when you block just near the number. It'll try and, that's how it'll try and get into the next number. So always block a couple of numbers out, but without being too aggressive. So as you can see, guys, coke's gone. Penny. So that's my 2 tones. So if I want to increase the tones, I just go back along to tones. That's us on 5 tones. There you go. And then I can go to all tones. Notice the different numbers. Right, so you can actually start to see with the numbers. So there's iron. See it? Coke. Nothing. Cut it out. Cut half. Penny. Love token. Buckle. See? So you can see the numbers changing with the conductivity of the metal. Alright, so we can get in, we can go to pitch. Oh, sorry, I missed it. Press the wrong button, sorry. We go to pitch, so now still getting the discrimination. And then our silver coin. We cut half. There you go, that's how it works. So that's notch. Notching, you can notch out any of these numbers if you want. It's just discriminating it out. So just for saying sake, that cut half, I wanted to notch that out. That's 24, 25. So I can get into there, I can go to discrimination, press it up to 24, 25. I can take that out. Oh, press the wrong buttons here, sorry. Right, so up to there, so I can tick that. So there you go. So see it, try to get it 26. So I've cut that out basically. Alright, if I want to put it back in, I just press the tick button, move back down. Press the tick button, there you go. It's called notch. And if I wanted, I could block all those numbers out and just accept a window. So if I was looking for something between 20 and 30, I could just block everything out up to 20, allow 20 to 30 in, and then block everything out for 31 upwards. That's called notching, and that's your tones. So tone ID, notch and discrimination, all in the one wee bit there. Okay, hope that helps.